After the second rest day, the Giro D'Italia resumed with the second and final time trial of the race. 28.6 kilometres against the clock. Everybody ready. A different day at TNT. First the recon, then the waiting, the superfans around, and then the effort itself. The weather was also inclement. Rain in the morning, a few crashes in the recon. But how would it go in the afternoon? Starting in the walled city of Lucca and heading over the hill, heading to Pisa. The race would finish by its famous Leaning Tower. The climb over San Giuliano, the only difficulty. The lefts and rights, a couple of time checks a second coming at Asciano, about 2/3 of the way through the race. A couple of crossings of the River Arno before finishing in Pisa's Piazza dei Miracoli, Miracle Square. Nobody needing one just yet, but some were looking to undo the damage caused by the gravel stage on Sunday. Ethan Hayter was the early rider to follow, and he'd go through the time checks, picking off Michael Hepburn's good strong times. By the time he got to the finish, it was clear he was on the way to the hot seat. 40 seconds quicker than the Australian. Edoardo Affini, the European champion. So close on many occasions to a Giro stage. He was close again here. Not quite close enough, however. Hayter in the lead with the 32:40. Dan Horler, Dutch time trial champion. A rider who'd only ever won a race in his native Netherlands. But he's becoming such a solid, dependable rider. And he was doing so on the time trial bike again. Quicker than Hayter at the first check. And riding towards the end, with roads still dry after the rain in the morning and the forecast of more of it in the afternoon. He kept the pace high, took 10 seconds out of Hayter's time, 32:40, his very quick time. Josh Tarling, the British champion, had won the first time trial of the Giro. That was in Albania. Here this was longer and on Italian roads. He was good at the first check, quicker than Dan Horler, the quickest by 17 seconds. He was held up ever so briefly, a couple of twists and turns. Miguel Honoré starting a minute in front of him, and not knowing much about that. Horler started to get excited at the second time check. Tarling having lost time, a 21-second swing in the centre of the parcours. How would it be when he got to the finish? Tarling was giving his all, looking for stage win number 2. But Horler would hang on. Second place, quicker than Hayter. Horler, the Dutch champion, quicker than the two Brits. Consonni and Milan were interested spectators. Everybody was an interested spectator as Primož Roglič looked about setting to try and take back time he lost through crashes and punctures on the Strade Bianche. But the rain was starting to fall, the conditions changing. The times were pretty good from Roglič, and it became clear that Horler had a real chance of hanging on. Roglič finishing a minute down in the end, a minute and 15 exactly. But how would the other GC riders get on? Simon Yates was one of the best of the rest. A superb performance on the time trial bike from the Visma Lease bike man. He was moving up in the GC. Giulio Ciccone, the Italians watching him, his teammate watching him from the hot seat. He was about saving the day as the rain really started to come down at the finish. Not ideal for Ciccone, but staying upright, well, that was certainly a pass for most. How would Antonio Tiberi do, starting the day on the podium? It looked like he was attending swimming lessons at some point. It was absolutely pouring down and continued to do so. But Tiberi was doing okay. He wasn't with Primož Roglič, but he was certainly defending his honour well. He'd finished 1:53 down on Horler. Only two riders were left to cross, with Horler still in the lead. Juan Ayuso, one who could really threaten him. He started in second place, a minute 13 down on his teammate. And he was having to be very careful. Seconds going here and there, but in the rest of the parcours, he was looking good. In the white jersey, due to Del Toro in pink. 41 down and slightly slower than Primož Roglič at the start. The second time check was good for Ayuso. but he would again lose a bit of time towards the end. Ayuso quicker than Simon Yates, not quite as quick as Primož Roglic, who's had set about taking back some of the 1 minute 12 deficit to him. Could Isaac del Toro hang on in pink? Well, before the day, you'd have said pretty easily so. But the rain really was affecting everything. Having to take the corners with more care, having to just stay in the race, he was well down at the first check, recovering a bit at the second check, and it looked as though he was going to be able to hold on versus his teammate to the Maglia Rosa. In the end, he defended beautifully. Isaac del Toro, yes, 2:22 down on the winning time of Dan Orla, but still in the Maglia Rosa. Orla, the tallest rider in the Giro d'Italia at 1.98 m, lifted off to success. A first Grand Tour stage win, a glorious moment for him, and a fourth stage win for Lidl Trek at his very big Giro for them. A 7-second victory over Tarling, 10 over Hayter. Orla marking this Giro with the biggest moment of his career. He emerged from the chaos and the rain. Isaac del Toro holding on by 25 seconds to the Maglia Rosa, but Roglic up from 10th to 5th, Yates up to 4th, Tiberi still holding on to the podium. Another day in the Maglia Rosa for Mexico's finest. Isaac del Toro, one of the young stars of the peloton, holding on as the peloton go back to racing on the road. Starting in Viareggio, close to Lucca, and then up a couple of climbs that have been missing from the Giro route for some time. San Pellegrino in Alpe, a very famous climb. So difficult, but a long, long way from the finish. Before the climbs continue, the Red Bull sprint coming at Villa Minozzo, and then the finish in Castelnuovo nei Monti, not too far away from a final climb. It promises to be a big stage, almost 4,000 metres of climbing. You can watch it with us on TNT Sports.